Hi, I'm Ashley C. Ford, Time 100 Talks correspondent, and I'm joined today by the illustrious host of the number one show in late night, Desus and Mero. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
The XR Day, you know the vibes.
You know what I'm saying? Each streamer in the house. It's very beautiful to do these types of things from home with no shoes on. You know what I'm
I
saying?
can't imagine. I too am not wearing shoes.
Yeah,
so
good.
the only
You
way
can
to
like
go.
toes. You can laugh and like crinkle your toes up like
Society has moved past the need for shoes and jeans. We're never
Yes.
going
I
back.
agree.
Never going.
We're
I
never
agree.
going back.
We're not
Denim
going
is
back
never
to
touching
hard
my butt
pants.
again.
Never.
No, straight,
Never going back.
straight leisure wear from now on. Wait till the next president is sworn in wearing like jogging pants. It's gonna be great.
You have a Brooks Brothers button up with like Nike Tech sweatpants. Like I swear to uphold the Constitution.
I fully expect for those things to be Desus and Mero branded as you guys continue to take over the world. And I really wanted to know, because as a longtime viewer, fan of the show, getting to know more and more people who are fans of the show or becoming fans of the show, why is the brand so strong?
Because it's real. It's authentic. It's just like, before we even hit record on this, we were just talking like, regular people just talking about regular shit. You know what I mean? Like not wearing shoes during the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just like our energy is just very like, bouncy back and forth, but it's real and it's authentic. Like I woke up this morning, knowing I was going to do this, that we were going to do this. And, I was coming into it like, hey, we're going to have a conversation with Ashley today. You know what I mean? Not like, we're in the Time 100 influencers of the millennium, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's just regular, like, hey, let's chop it up.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I think it's because it's something you can't get anywhere else. There's no other show like this. There's no other real energy like this. A lot of shows that try to have this energy, it feels forced, and you can definitely feel that the combination was created in a boardroom or an algorithm, or they saw two people had high Twitter followings and put them together, and then you put them in a room and the shit's boring. There's no energy. You don't want to listen to the shit. The shit's painful. And with us, it's low effort, high quality art. It's just like you get a little bit of both. You can get like the Susio, you get like the porn references, but then you'll get some high level dissertations about government and different things like that. So people like that, and the fact that it feels so of the moment. And I think people kind of enjoying it because they're like, it's also like, how much longer is it going to last? Because Corona is changing up everything. What we want, the kind of entertainment we consume is changing. So it's just, at this point before, it was just like, yo, this is so different and different than anything else out there. And now it kind of feels like, yo, this is like probably the last thing we had that was regular before coronavirus. Because like a lot of people hit me up now and they're like, yo, if it wasn't for your show, they wouldn't know what week it was. They wouldn't know what day of the week it is. And I'm the same way. There's some days that I like 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night, I'll turn to Showtime and I'm like, oh, tonight's not Monday, or tonight's not Saturday or Sunday, whatever night. So, it helps set a routine, and people like that, and it's just, also, it doesn't really feel like a show. Where other shows, it feels like, hey, you're sitting there and someone's talking to you. But this is more like, you're sitting there with two people and you're having a conversation about what happened in the world. So it's just like, you're talking with your boys like, yo, did you see that? And then we turn to you like, yo, did you see that? And like, the same thing that, like, for example, the Trump press conference, the same thing that you saw, and you were like, yo, what the when we watch it, we're like, exactly, what the And it's not like other talk shows where it's just like something happens and the host does written joke, wait, punchline, haha. Like, we're just like, yo, what the was that? Sometimes that's all you have to say is what the was that? And that surmises everything that's happened. And we've used that line a lot in 2020.
Have you guys been embraced by other talk show hosts? By the talk show host community?
It's wild to see. It's wild to see that, because you would think like, it's very like competition, like I must destroy you. But like Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers in particular, I've been like very inviting and welcoming and being like, hey, come on the show, like let's talk about your show, like, which is in direct competition with my show, but it's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I guess they see the value of what we bring to the table. You know what I mean? Even David Letterman, who's like the Michael Jordan of late night, was like, this is what late night should be. Regular people talking about regular stuff. In like a not pretentious and not like super overproduced kind of way.
Yeah, and also we're more than a talk show hosts. Like, the idea that we're talk show hosts is kind of, that's more on the industry than it is on us, because it's just like, when we made the show, they're like, you got to interview people. It's like, okay. Like, when we first started the show, when we first started the show, the interviews were boring. I'm not even gonna lie, like, because we weren't getting big guests. Like, we were getting people that was kind of like, not the Showtime show, but when we first started in the industry, the interviews were just like people we could get or whatever. And it's just, as you get bigger and bigger, it becomes, oh, you got to have this person. Who's the big guest on your show? And that's never really what our show is about. The show is about us. And if we happen to have Joe Biden on, hey, talk to that guy for a couple of minutes.
Hey,
but at the end of the day, it's us. And that's the other thing. Like, it's not really an acceptance from the other talk show hosts. It's kind of like a reverence. And it's just like, yo, we see what you're doing. And I respect it, because they're just like, the level of output you guys do and the way you guys work, I couldn't do. Like, I don't understand how you guys don't burn out. So it's just kind of that thing. Like, it's because you come from two different schools of thought. Like, they were raised to be talk show hosts. They might have went to UCB. They might have went to Second City. They've worked on other people's shows. We just come out the gate like, boom, here's our show. We're going to do it like two guys talking in the bodega. And that's what has remained. People have tried to change it, but we've kept it very authentic to what it originally was.
Being in quarantine right now, one of the things that I've been, to be honest, shocked by is how seamlessly the show has moved from a live studio audience to this situation, and how I don't really feel like we're missing much or anything at all in that transition as a viewer. But how is the experience of quarantine for the two of you in your homes? Because it has to be, I'm guessing, pretty massively different given the different family structures here.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
I mean, like, personally, like, it's kind of like, in the beginning it was difficult, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm a very compartmentalizing type of guy. So it was like very much like, okay, I'm in the office, I'm in the studio, you know, the kid Mero, and I'm, you know, doing jokes and interviews, and my guy Desus is here, we're doing our thing, and then I'm home, and I'm daddy, you know, I'm daddy and I'm husband. So you know, having to, like, instead of like getting in a car and going to a studio, it's, you know, kind of getting out of bed, washing my ass, and then going downstairs into the basement. You know what I mean? And my kids will follow me the whole way. Where are you going? What are you doing? This is weird. This is different. We don't have school. Our school's on a computer. Can you help me do my math? I'm like, yo, hold on one second. Joe Biden. Hold on one second. Let me go over here. My son has to do 10 push-ups. I got to do it on Zoom with him. You know what I mean? So it was just like, in the beginning it was difficult, and then I got used to it, and it's been fun. Like, honestly, like, I get to lock myself in here. This is like every married man's dream. Like, you get to lock yourself in your basement for a couple hours a day and just be like woosah, and just like laugh at your friend. You know? Yeah,
this is kind of a monotonous hell. I like being stuck inside for 4 months. I'm like a very social person. I love going out. I was supposed to go to. So we were supposed to be in Europe, me and my boy Tommy and some other stuff. And we always, like, you know, like, you're traveling, you got enjoy, do it while you can, and just it's the monotony of just over and over. Because I'm really not going out. I'm social distancing. Listen, I'm not too far away from Red Rooster. If I wanted to, I could go smoke some hookah right now. I choose not to be a socially responsible person, but you do miss the human contact. You do miss just being out in the city, just. Because, like, that's kind of what you get for this show. You got to have that energy, see what people are talking about, what music is going on, even going to the protests and things like that, like getting that kind of energy. And now it's just, I think it's not so much monotonous, but it's more a mental toll, in that if you're the person doing the stuff that you're supposed to be doing to get us out of COVID, and you're surrounded by people who aren't, it gets to a point where you're just like, what am I doing? Like, why can't I have a piece of the birthday cake that everyone is eating and running around the Chuck E. Cheese enjoying? So you get that, but then on the other side, you got to balance it, because it's like, we are making entertainment for people, and it's getting a lot of people through a tough time. So you got to keep that, but it's very anticlimactic, getting all dolled up and ready to perform, and then it's like, all right, I'll go in that room right there, and it's just like, all right. And then, like, even some of the changes that came with it are different. For example, people on our team, because of the tropical storm, were losing power left and right, and that's never been an issue we had to deal with. That's like some Oregon Trail thing right there. Like, people's like, yo, my Wi-Fi's down, or a tree took out my power line, and now you have to change how you do the connections and all that stuff. But you know, we're rolling with the punches. We still out here. I mean, the fact that we're even still able to make TV, that's incredible right there. Like, because we thought in the beginning, we was like, all right, I guess we're about to be on a 6-month vacation, but no, got these MacBooks up and running and still making content. So, you know, like, with the good comes the bad, and the good outweighs the bad.
That feeling of monotony and of like that Jesus is talking about, like, I feel like what you provide to other people kind of like gives that back. Like there's a stupid gif of me on Twitter or something that's like, it's like, I give you energy and you give it back to me. Like, and it's just like, you know what I mean? Like it's that vibe. I know, you know what I mean? Like I don't see it, but I feel it. Like you right now, like there's thousands of yous that are watching the show and are like,
for sure.
this is like my woosah, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So just knowing that gives you that was good. Okay, you know, today wasn't so bad. Just a
little gratitude seasoning.
Yeah, you know,
yes,
let it marinate overnight. You know, throw it on the grill.
You can take jokes up to the line. Like when something is happening in the world, and for a second, I might think, I don't know that a person can make a good joke out of that. You guys say something, and I'm like, you know what? That's the only joke that you can make about this situation. How do you toe that line and sort of allow yourselves to be funny and irreverent in real and ways that push an envelope without going into those isms?
Right.
You know what?
It's as simple as like zooming out of yourself. Like forget about yourself and think about people as a whole. You know what I mean? And just like, you know, it takes a split second. Like people act like this is such a difficult thing to do. It takes a split second to be like, yo, is this going to make this group of people really upset if I say this? You know what I'm saying? Like it takes a split second to say, yes, all right, chill, I'm not going to go there. And it's kind of lazy joke writing and lazy joke telling to like not look for a clever way to engage with something.
It's like it's about personal responsibility. If you say something, you gotta be prepared for the fallback and the fallout of what you said. So with that comes, you have to ask yourself, was this joke worth saying? Like, was this joke even funny? Did I just make a joke or did I just say something wild up that a couple of people chuckled at? Because some people have made a big career of that. Some people sell out stadiums doing that. And it's just like, it's about self-awareness, and also just certain things are not funny. But certain things, like if you're sure of your sense of humor, you can look at it and be like, I know the angle to take this at. And you can say that with your chest and you're not worried about what other people are going to say because you know that it's an honest joke. It's a clean joke. Like, unfortunately, like with the Herman Cain dying, that's a sensitive subject. But at the same time, there is something to be said there. And there's also like a social justice issue there in the idea that an older black man basically gave up his life to follow a racist. He threw his life down on the line, signed a waiver for what? For a tweet. And at the end of it, all we got out of it is being able to retweet that and be like, this you? So, I mean, like, this is life now. This is reality, and humor has to change in a certain way. And I think that's the other thing that helps our show, because no one ever watches the show and sees this coming at an angle of being malicious, because it's never that. Like, we'll joke about someone's situation, but not necessarily the person. Except for the guy in the last episode that grew the on his arm, he had to get roasted. Sorry.
Yeah. You got
rules is rules.
Like,
rules is rules. Like,
you know, there's levels, bro. Like, yeah, you knew when they put the on arm, you knew we were coming for you.
You got okay. I'm a professional. You guys have been ending every single episode for the last several weeks with a call to arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor.
Right.
How did that come? Is that organic, or was that a decision made that you guys were like, hey, this is what we're going to do until it happens?
It's just
completely organic.
Yeah.
And
everything that we yell out at the end of the show is completely organic.
I did it, and I was like, yo, if they edit it, they edit it. And then Showtime was like, do we really want to go tell a black person they're not going to be able to say arrest Breonna Taylor? Like, is this a series of emails we want to set up? Is this something we want to, like, but that's the beauty of the show. They would never push back on something like that. Like, something like that, they're like, all right, if that's where you're going, that's where we're going. And it's also the fact that we have this platform and we have to use our voice. Like, what other talk show is ending saying, arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor? If you think about it, most people watching the show, if you watch it when it comes on, you're literally in your house sleeping. You're in your bed the same way she was when the cops came in and murdered her. So that little reminder right there, just to remind people who might not necessarily see Breonna Taylor when they look in the reflection, you could be in the same situation as her, just like that. And so that opens up a bigger conversation about police violence, defunding the police, just even our rights as American citizens when it comes to working with the police. And you get all that from just saying a couple of words at the end of your show. So that shows the power of your platform, and that shows that we don't take that for granted. We realize how important it is, and we're using our voice hopefully for change.
Yeah, because everybody has a role to play in this whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't be out there on the streets, if you can't be, if you have a platform, if you have a megaphone, use that megaphone. You know what I mean? Like, it's very simple. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are like, oh, things are performative and this, that, the third. It's like, okay, like, if you have millions of viewers, saying something like that is impactful. You know what I mean? Like, it's not performative. It actually it makes a difference. People, like you said, people change their minds. If you change 5 people's minds, you won.
For anybody else, I think it would have been really abrupt and hard to make the transition from arms to defunding the police. But that's sort of the thing about you guys' show is that you can do that. And you don't, and as a viewer, you don't necessarily feel that either of those sides of the spectrum are disingenuous to who you are in any way. That's really hard to maintain in this industry, don't you think?
It is, but I think it's a microcosm of life in the hood or life in any inner city community. Because every now and then you get the blind side. You get some white person like, oh my God, he speaks so well. He's so smart. Look at this one kid in the school. And it's just like, no, there are so many like smart kids, smart brown kids that can talk like us and can tell you to go but they also can name all the presidents in alphabetical order. You know what I'm saying? There's that balance everywhere. And the fact that we have it, people just like, wow, that's so rare. But this is like, we all grown up knowing people that could do this. We have all known that really smart thug or that the girl that everyone's like she's a bird, but she's super smart. And people call her a bird just because she has like flashy fingernails. You know what I mean? So just this is just us. This is just us. And I think that might also be something that people appreciate about the show because it's just like we remind them of people they know or that we're not trying to be just one specific thing. We're messy. We're messy and we're good. You know what I mean? We're out here with the Tims and the chopped cheese and the and we're making dirty porno jokes and hanging with Sarah J. But at the same time, we're talking about politics, we're talking about real stuff. We're bringing Dr. Nina on the show. We're interviewing real people with real problems and trying to do real solutions. So I think just that duality, people really appreciate that. And that helps the show flow.
Listen, from democratic socialism to arms, you know what I'm saying? You get it all.
Oh, Desus and Mero.
Showtime.
That was the original tagline. That was the one thing Showtime pushed back on.
They're like, what about Richard Arms?
They was like, they was like, I don't think we could put arms on the side of MTA buses. And I was like, wow. I was like, this is anti-black. Wow.
Here we are again. You have a new book coming out in September. God Level Knowledge Darts, Life Lessons from the Bronx. Yes. What's one of those life lessons that we should all be taking to heart right now?
Man.
Avoid the bookings. That is a very important life lesson. And people are just like, what does that mean? Oh, like it means don't go to jail. Like, no, it just means like just move safe. Just think about things before you do them. Think about situations before you enter them, because that's how you get jammed up in life. Like bookings is not there waiting for you to tumble into it. Bookings is set up to bring your black ass in there. You know what I'm saying? It's set up for you, any little violation you do, to bring it in there. And it's just kind of just like, that should be your metaphor for life. Keep your head on a swivel and know that there's people out there that want to put you, they have a plan for you. So you have to come up with your own plan. And see, even that, like, you know, shout out to Twitter. Like, we can tweet that, but you only have but so many characters. And I'm not going to do a 39 tweet thread because nobody's reading that to explain it. So that's the beauty of the book. We're able to we're able to talk more about our tweets and about like what made the tweet and just like basically our mindset. And it's a great book. It's a fantastic book. Be sure to pick it up. And also we have the virtual book tour coming up. So you can add, if you have any weird questions and you want to be the word guy, be like, yo, why did you use this word on page 36? And we have no idea what you're talking about. Be sure to come through. It'll be fun.
I'm halfway through the book. I can confirm.
Yeah.
That was complete stream of consciousness. That was like very Langston Hughes. Like I was just in the basement, like, yo, you know what? Yeah.
All caps.
Yeah.
All caps, establishing the voice early on. Because you're real writers. That's how I feel about it. When you think about the position you're in right now, in this time in America, during an election year, a global pandemic, racial tension in the streets, like all of this stuff going on, police brutality, where do you find hope?
The new logic
the younger
album.
generation, man. He's the new
listen,
Yo.
it's getting me through some things.
Oh, word.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Yo, that's nah. I mean, for me, it's the youth. You know what I mean? Because you see, like, generationally, things are changing. You know what I mean? Like people's mindsets are changing. Like, you know, from my father's generation to my generation to my kids' generation, like the kids are thinking differently, and they're being more proactive earlier. You know, you see kids as young as, like, you know, 11, 12, 13, 14 at protests and being socially active and talking about their civic duties and stuff like that. Like that, you know, gives me hope. Just knowing that, like, all through, you know, we're talking shit and we're making jokes or whatever, but like the little, you know, medicine and the sugar that we're putting out there is like is working for some people.
Yeah, I think about the saying, the phrase "things fall apart, the center cannot hold." That kind of gives me hope, because they always said the problem with America was we've always been too passive. We've always just been comfortable, because people were always like, Americans will never take to the street as long as they have bread in their kitchens and shows on TV. And the thing is, things have gotten to the point with America, like, unfortunately, things have gotten so bad with just like racial injustice and income inequality that people have to go to the streets. People don't have jobs. The government is not providing people with PPE. The government is not providing people with even the necessities to pay their rent. People have gone 6 months without paying their rent. And things have gotten to a point now where it's just like, right now it's an important time in America, I believe, that it's either, are you with us or are you against us? And a lot of people have to stop and realize us does not mean us. Us means everyone with money who controls this. And when I say money, I don't mean like me and Mero. Like, people's like, yo, y'all got, look at all those sneakers.
Yeah,
like,
no. I'm a thousandaire.
All right, there's no,
Please.
And then, to be fair, that was us a couple of years ago. We was like, yo, if you get 40,000 in the bank, you balling.
You
now,
rich.
And now, you know, we meet people who are just like upset because they're only worth $4 billion. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit. And you're meeting people who are worth billions of dollars, and they spent 30 million on some Picasso. And then meanwhile, like outside my building this morning, the line for the food kitchen around the block, the line wrapped twice. So it's just like, you see this difference, and it's just like, how can we allow both of these things to happen in the country, and they both can't happen? And it's just the fact that more people are waking up and realizing this, and even people who aren't necessarily affected by it, like people who have money are just like, yo, I didn't know Jeff Bezos how's he still making money during a pandemic? You know what I'm saying? Like, how are they about to close down the post office? The post office has always been there. So it's just like these little pops of light. Everyone's kind, you know, like, unfortunately, the word that was stolen from us, everyone's becoming woke. And I think that ideally is going to lead to a better America. It has to, because America as it is can't continue. Like, this is not, this ain't working.
Yeah,
this is not
it's
working.
funny because,
so that, I mean, not to cut you off, but that, like Mero said, and it's the young people, like, we grew up, and, you know, like, we grew up through crack, we grew up through the 90s. We were just like, yo, we kind of just were like, yo, things have always been messed up, things are always gonna be messed up. And this next generation is like, nah, we're not going through this, we're not putting up with this. Y'all live this, that. No, we ended this start right now.
Yeah, my kids are like, a copy stepping on my head for no reason. Out of here, you know what I mean? Like, that's the type of time they're on, you know. And it's funny because, like, when my father comes from that type of, like, my parents are like from that type of, you know, cloth, like very radical, very, like, you know, like, no, we got to take it to the streets and like burn tires and like it up. So like, he's in DR and he's like, oh, I'm talking with him and he's just like, Papa, you seen what's happening over there? It's cool, it's cool, revolution, you know, like. And I'm just like, okay. I was like, because I was always of that mindset, like, people, like, nothing's gonna change until there's like radical change, you know what I mean? And now we're starting to see it.
Guys, thank you so much for being on the show today. I've had an
Thank you.
amazing time getting to talk with you.